Okay, I'm gonna make this video really quick. There's a lot of nitty-gritty stuff in the new update, and I'm not gonna get into all of it. I'm just gonna focus on the quality of life improvements for patch 9.0 in Dead by Daylight. First things first, the AFK crows work completely differently now. AFK is now when a survivor is not interacting with anything in the last 10 seconds. This means you can just be like crouching, watching the killer do something and waiting for them to leave before you go and do whatever. And if you're doing it for 10 seconds, the crows are going to start. The main change, though, beyond the fact that AFK now triggers quicker and the crows will start spawning faster, the AFK system now is disabled completely when the hatch spawns or when the endgame collapse is triggered. The big change for patch 9.0 is bulk blood point spending in the blood web. Thank fucking God it happened. I knew it was going to happen, but I'm just so happy that it's here. Unfortunately, it's still not great for new players. So I was correct in my previous video. You have to prestige a character first to unlock this ability. Boo. That just makes no sense. I don't know why the devs do that. It's really antithetical to bringing new players into the game, and I hope to God they change it. So I thought it was going to be a system where you could select how many levels you want to go up in, like, prestige. So if you want to go to prestige 1, 2, 3, and you could select that and then spend the blood points. No. Spending blood points now, you select how many levels within the blood web you want to go. And for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to let you go perfectly to level 51 to instantly prestige. So you have to go to level 49 and then manually click through level 50 to get to the prestige window, or you have to go beyond it. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so you'll go one level above it into the next level, and just that one little level is going to bother me a lot. So I think it could use some tweaking, particularly for new players. But you can spend blood points in bulk. The system is mainly designed for spending blood points for your main character. Now, most players have a main, a survivor or a killer, whatever. And the way the system works now is if you just go in to the bulk blood point spending menu and you click the button on the right, it spends all your blood points, all of them. And so if you have a lot of blood points and you're playing on one character over and over and over again, and you want that character to be as high level as possible so you have as many items and add-ons and offerings to choose from, perfect. This system is designed for that style. But if you, like me, like to get all of your characters to the same prestige level before leveling the next one up, it is not quite designed for that. So it's a bit finicky. If you are a newer player and you just want to prestige your character, get them up to level 49 of whatever prestige you're at, and then manually click through for the last little bit. It's still way faster than the old system, so it's an improvement, but there's issues. I'll also comment really quickly. If I don't know the exact numbers because I've bought some perks from the Shrine of Secrets or whatever it's called. So my math for leveling up a character from level 1 to prestige 3 is going to be a little bit different than a new player. If I'm not mistaken, though, it takes about 3,200,000 blood points, give or take, to get all the way from level 1 to prestige 3. It could be a bit more, it could be a bit less. If you have about that many blood points and you aren't a bit OCD about getting to the exact correct level, if you just want to get basically where you want to get and then you can move on and you don't care if it's a sliver over or whatever, then if you get to that mark of 3,200,000 blood points, spend them all on one character, you'll hit prestige 3 and then you can move on. Just a note for new players. All right, the next really important setting I want to talk about in the game is gamma. Now, it used to be that PC players could use shaders to adjust the gamma of their game, but now all players, regardless of console, can set their own gamma. I would recommend increasing it. I think the default is 2, and I've increased mine up to 2.5 or 3, depending on maps. If you have it all the way up at 3, on certain maps like Eyrie of Crows, you're going to be a bit flashbanged when you load in. But on certain maps, 2.5 just isn't enough. This game can be very dark and foggy at times. So if you have trouble seeing, you can now, in each game, just go into your settings and change the gamma for whatever map you're on. Another thing that's worth mentioning is the going next prevention. It used to be that survivors could take chance to unhook and essentially choose to kill themselves at any point. Now they can't. The only way to attempt an unhook now is if you're actually in one of the scenarios where it would make sense to try it. So before, players sort of had to learn when to unhook themselves and when not to, and when to take that risk, because it's the community talks about it as a 4%, because you have a 4% chance of successfully unhooking yourself. That's without any bonuses. So now, the only way you can unhook yourself early in the match is if you are bringing a luck offering, or you have the slippery meat or up the ante perks, which make it easier to unhook yourself. There's a bit of an issue I have with the going next prevention. So in the scenario of there's 2 survivors remaining, the way the game used to work is one survivor could choose to kill themselves on hook so that hatch would spawn and the other survivor could get out. Now, with the going next prevention, it takes longer to die on hook, so it takes significantly longer of actually sitting on the hook before you die, which means it's more likely that the killer will find the other survivor first, and with the new Mori update, the killer can activate a Mori when the last 2 survivors are alive. So instead of it only being 1 survivor alive, if there's only 2 survivors remaining, you're in the end game. If one of the survivors is hooked, then you can actually do the Mori. So that change from the game, I think, is generally a good idea. Like, it creates a situation where all the players leave the game quicker when they were already all going to die. So that's good. But the problem is the combined making it harder to kill yourself on hook and Moriing while a survivor is on the hook and in the struggle phase means that there's less you can do as a survivor to help your teammates in that endgame scenario. So I'm not so sure about how I feel about that. I'll also say another quick change that is worth noting. When you spawn into a match as a survivor, you will now, by default, spawn near your teammates. If you're running the perk Bond, you'll be able to see all of your teammates at spawn every single time. Like, unless there is some offering or something else that's affecting spawns for survivors, which is still possible. If you are playing a normal game, you will spawn immediately next to your teammates. This probably sounds like a good thing to survivors, and it does mean that you can immediately start working on a generator together, so that first generator might pop quicker. But it also means that the killer doesn't have to check the entire map because they know all of the survivors will spawn together. So if they're running any perks or offerings or anything to help them figure out where the survivors are in the start of the match, they don't just know where 1 or 2 of you are, they know where all of you are. So it's now a very good idea when you spawn into the match to just haul ass and split up as quickly as possible to start pressuring different generators. This isn't exactly like a 1-to-1. There's situations where you would want to stay together and there's situations where you wouldn't, but that's killer and map dependent and very dependent on where in the map you spawn. If all the survivors spawn next to the generator that they absolutely need to complete first, well, great, that's a boon. But if all the survivors spawn next to each other on the opposite side of the map from where the 3-gen is, and they don't really have any objectives that they need to be working on where they spawned, it just gives the killer time to trap their 3-gen, set up on one side of the map. So it's definitely an advantage for the killer, like, say, 70-75% of the time. But just a new thing to be aware of as a survivor. When you spawn in, don't just run to your first generator. Figure out where your teammates are and try and run to a different generator than the one they are working on. And with that, I think I've covered all the major updates for the 9.0 patch. A lot has changed in the game, and considering how buggy the update is, I'm expecting a patch in a couple of days addressing some of these things, and potentially the community will complain and some of these changes will be reverted, who knows? But if you're playing the game right now, that's everything you need to know. All right? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.